Hey, what's going on? Appreciate you for tuning into another episode of Chomp at the Bit. Hopefully, you had a great Memorial Day and you're back into the swing of things after the holiday with work and everything like that. But had to talk about this, I guess, rumor that came out regarding the Celtics. So I had to talk about it. Apparently, the Dallas Mavericks are going to be looking at potential trades to, I guess, alleviate some of the issues that may arise with Kyrie Irving not. I guess the plan is that he's not going to play next season, at least at the start of the year. So they'll need a point guard to kind of lead the team until then. Rumor is Dallas is targeting Boston as a potential trade partner, as you can see right here. The guard that they're looking at, Jrue Holiday. So I found a couple of websites that have potential trades that would work with Boston's situation as it is, second apron. There's limitations on how they can trade, everything like that. They basically have to do things like money for money has to be pretty close. So that does limit what they can do. Well, they can't go like over and beyond how much Holiday makes. I do think they could do trades that cost less, whatever. But there's restrictions. There's a couple of trades that are put out there as potential deals that would work between Boston and Dallas. Show them to you. Want to know what you think about them in the comments. Which one would you do? So we'll look at this one first. Like I said, Boston, Dallas, trade partners. They have the number one pick, Cooper Flag. So they might be willing to move on from a couple of bigs that they have. This points out PJ Washington, Daniel Gafford could be potential guys that the Celtics could get if they did go ahead with the trade. Yeah, Holiday's 304 million contract complications, all that. Okay, skip past that. Dwight Powell, some expiring contracts that Dallas has that the Celtics could take on, all that. Yeah, to cut salary and all that. So let's go skip down to where the actual deal is. Okay, so this one talks about a 3-team deal where the Celtics get Daniel Gafford, Jrue Holiday goes to the Mavericks, and then they bring in a third team with the Nets who get PJ Washington and Caleb Martin. It works, as you can see. It says successful, which I believe that's fanspo.com, I think. Because, back a couple of years ago, everybody was using the ESPN trade machine. I used to lose a lot of time, working trades on that one. This one is a little bit better, I will say. Like, you can trade draft picks. It will give you, second apron, first apron, all that. It's a little bit more advanced than ESPN's trade machine. Although I haven't looked at ESPN's in a little bit, but this one's a good one to go to if you want to lose some time trying to help your team out. So this one, I guess you could see where this would be coming from. You bring in Gafford, the front court, depth could be a problem. Although I think Al Horford came out and said he plans on returning. He plans on returning to the Celtics for, I think, his 19th season. You already know I did in another video. Al Horford wants to come back. He's like Tim Wakefield for me with the Red Sox, where Tim Wakefield at the end of his career, it was all up to him if he wanted to come back. I think Al Horford is the same thing. But you get Daniel Gafford, Luke Cornett is a free agent. Don't know what's going to happen there. So at least you would get a big in this. This might be bare bones type of deal between the two of them. I don't hate it. I don't know. Like I said, you let me know what you think about this one. So let's go ahead and take a look at the second deal that this one's from CBS Sports. Yeah. So here we go. What could a potential trade look like? So we'll probably get a lot of these over the course of the next, I don't know, few weeks here. Because obviously, once the finals are over, teams can start getting a little active with potential moves and everything like that. Once again, they got the number one pick, blah, blah, blah. So they will have to create minutes for them, which is why big men are going to be on their target. This one, this Think about obviously other point guards like Lonzo Ball that they could get. I mean, if you could get Lonzo Ball or Jrue Holiday, what would you do? Let's see. What is okay? So this one, they have Jrue Holiday for Klay Thompson, Daniel Gafford, Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams is a young backup point guard. So you lose Jrue Holiday, you have Brandon Williams. Even though if you lose Jrue Holiday, I'm assuming JD Davison becomes he moves up in the rotation. Brandon Williams would probably become I don't know. I don't know what they would do with him, but this is interesting. A little bit more interesting. You get a little bit more in return, quote unquote. I don't know how you feel about Klay Thompson. But when I looked at this one, Klay Thompson would make sense because, like the last video, I believe I said Sam Hauser is a guy who probably could get moved in this offseason. So would Klay Thompson kind of fill the Sam Hauser role as just a bench guy to shoot threes? We all know Klay Thompson's state at this point. The body is failing him slowly after the injuries, but he can still shoot it a little bit. So I guess that makes a little sense. Daniel Gafford already talked about would be a guy to add to the big rotation. He would be on an expiring deal. So if they did make this deal, Gafford would be somebody that around the trade deadline, if it's not working, Brad Stevens could try to move him and really jumpstart the process of getting under the aprons and kind of reshaping the future of the Celtics. Like I said, Brandon Williams would be a guy who's just like a low cost option to maybe develop a little bit. Because like I said, you move on from Holiday. I guess the question would be, do you just start like Derek White at point guard? Do you move Peyton Pritchard into the starting lineup? Because you have to also remember Tatum's spot in the starting rotation, starting lineup next season. You got to fill that as well. So would you be running out there, see, White, Brown, or maybe you put Brown at the 3? I don't know. Be interesting. And I also think you bring in Gafford, you bring in Klay, like I said. So Holiday would be gone, Hauser would be gone. If they move Porzingis, I don't know. But this one I feel like I would like a little bit more than the last one because the last one you only get Gafford. Like I said, this one at least you get Thompson, which I think would help with my prediction that Hauser might get dealt as well. But looking at all this, like I said, I just want to show this really quickly. You let me know which deal you prefer. I would prefer this one over the last one, but I'm not exactly too high on Klay Thompson either, not going to lie. So maybe the last one makes more sense. You just get Gafford. Maybe that way you keep Hauser. Because as great as Klay Thompson was, I might actually want Hauser next season over Klay Thompson. That might be crazy to say. You let me know if that's crazy. But we know Brad Stevens is not going to sit on his hands this offseason. So if this is the first deal, which I think I also said, Jrue Holiday is the easiest one to move out of, everybody's talking about Jrue Holiday, Porzingis, Jaylen Brown probably have to be moved. I'll tell you right now, Jaylen Brown's not going anywhere. We need to stop with that one. Porzingis might be tough to move because of this illness that people still have no idea what it is. I don't know if other teams are going to be willing to trade for him if he's still dealing with this kind of stuff. Maybe the trade deadline, he's a guy you could maybe move. I don't know. But yeah, Holiday's going to be the first to go. And then if you get this in return, Hauser would be the next one traded. That's just my opinion. But you let me know what you think. We are on the verge of the NBA Finals, so it's not too long before the Celtics can get working in the offseason, and I'm ready for it. I will be here for all the news and the rumors, but I just had to bring this one to you today. So let me know what you think down in the comment section. Would you make either of these moves, or would you just sit on it, run it back, let the season play out without Jason Tatum? Because I think at that point, Porzingis' contract would be off the books after next season, I believe. So let me know what you would do. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in. There'll be a link to to the channel's Discord. Feel free to join it. That way we can talk a little bit more when I'm not doing videos or I'm not live, which I will be live on Wire to Wire Network Tuesday night on the Ball podcast. We'll be talking about for sure. So make sure you tune in for that. Should be here on the channel as well as over on Wire to Wire's platform. So thanks again. Hopefully I see you later. Be safe. God bless. I'm out of here. All right.